Folks, Galatians 5:1. Galatians 5:1 says this. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ has made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. The Old Testament is about the law. It's about the law. And every single law is crazy. Let me tell you, I'm going to try to be real quick with this. I was talking to a friend of mine one time. He said, man, I was walking through our gym one time. We were doing a VBS, and they had built this rocket ship. And this is a grown man. We built this rocket ship for VBS and such, and it was made out of cardboard and things, and they painted it and all. And there was a sign on it that said, do not touch. He said, I'd walk by that sign, and I would touch it nearly every time, though, that's because that sign was on there. And I told him, I was telling him, I said, that's what our sin nature is. Our sin nature, because the sign is there, it incites sin within us, because we have a sinful nature given to us through Adam, through Adam. And certainly that sin nature, we have been born again. So we are battling that. We've been given a new nature, and we need to live with a new nature. Now look at what it says. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith you... Now, here's the thing. So Paul was saying that the law was good in that it pointed out how wicked I was. All right. Because that law was there. I would read that law. I would read do not touch, and it would make my sinful nature want to touch it. But if that sign's not there, likely is I'm walking right by the rocket ship. You said, well, the law must be bad. No, the law is good in that it shows me how bad I really am, that I would just want to defy God. But in a new nature, I've been given liberty, not liberty to sin. See, that's where we get crazy. Just liberty not to have to live under the bondage of the law, but to live for Christ. It makes it very easy, guys. It says, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. This kind of sums up the law, taking care of each other, loving each other, being born again, and then serving others. As long as you're trying to say, listen, it's not about me and it's about others. I'm trying my best to live for others, and I am born again and have given my life to Christ. You sum it up in how you're treating others and how you're treating especially those of the kingdom, those who are born again, all of that. But here's the thing. When we say we're living in liberty, that means we're not caught up in every little thing. We're not worried about following a set of standards of rules. What we're worried about is following Jesus. Following Jesus. How do we follow Jesus? That doesn't mean that we have the liberty just to go out there and sin like we want to. That's not even close to what that means. It means that finally we are free from having to worry about these set rules that I've got to check off, and it's simply follow Jesus. And what does Jesus say? Jesus says the same thing. I mean, the whole Word of God are His words. They say, well, Jesus said in the New Testament. Well, everything's the Word of God, and He is God. So He says, be holy, for I am holy. But don't be worried about checking off this checkoff system on the Old Testament. Simply live for Jesus. Jesus said, if you love me, you will follow my commandments. You will do my commandments. You'll do what I've asked you to do if you love me. So the proof's in the pudding, folks. Proof's in the pudding. But thank God that I don't have to worry about, signs up every time I turn around about how this, and this. I just have to say, is this going to please Jesus? Will this please the Lord? If it will not please the Lord, stay away from it. If it will please the Lord, go for it. Go for it. Please Jesus. That's your goal. That's the liberty we're in. We get to please Jesus instead of worrying about all this check system. We get to please Jesus. If it pleases Jesus, do it. All right? If it pleases Jesus, if it's against His word, then you're not pleasing Jesus. Your liberty is not for you to sin and get away with it. Your liberty is for you to live for Jesus finally, instead of being in the bondage and living for sin. Easy enough. Love you guys. Bye-bye.